So the Miami Heat got swept yesterday, and even though it was a game in which they led for actually a majority of the game, it really never, in my opinion, seemed like it was a real chance that they were actually going to beat that Milwaukee Bucks team in a game. And this is coming from me, who predicted that the Miami Heat were going to win the series outright before the series started. Now, there's a lot of factors to why this Miami Heat team lost. First off, I don't think that Eric Spoelstra is a bad head coach. I think that he's one of the probably top 5 head coaches in the NBA today. But whatever defensive scheme that Miami Heat team was running obviously was not working, because not only was Giannis doing literally whatever he wanted to do, every single shooter had a field day against the Miami Heat. Every single player basically had a field day for the Milwaukee Bucks. And it seemed like that stupid little zone that Eric Spoelstra had the Heat running, it almost seemed like the Heat were just tanking the series because, they just didn't get out of it. You never see a team get beat that badly 4 games in a row and never change their defensive scheme. So I think that is one thing to quickly point out. But other than that, really nobody player-wise played well. Bam Adebayo got handled by Brook Lopez when Brook Lopez literally all he had to do was just sit in the paint and dare Bam to shoot, and he wouldn't do it. Not only would he not shoot the ball, he wouldn't drive at Brook Lopez and try to, dunk on him or draw a foul. Bam got handled this series, and it seemed like he had no chance the whole time. Jimmy Butler, it seemed like he got handled this series by Giannis and every other defender for the Bucks. Tyler Hero played terribly. Goran Dragic kind of did his normal thing. Kendrick Nunn, I thought, should have played more. I thought Kendrick played well. Duncan Robinson had a couple games. But, you could not really look at anybody on that team and say that they played a solid series. It seems strange to me that, Precious Achiuwa and Nemanja Bjelica got literally no time in this series until it came back to Miami. Even in Precious Achiuwa's case, he got no time really at all. And it just, it's not like anybody that was on the court was really giving Eric Spoelstra that much of energy. Jimmy Butler is supposed to be the player on this team. Jimmy Butler is supposed to be the guy. And he gave them nothing. He gave them nothing. This has really been the first series. This has been the first time that I've seen him and Bam Adebayo look this disinterested in basketball ever in their career. And it obviously showed with how they got swept. So enough talking about what happened in the playoff series and this year. Already it's time for this Miami Heat team to start looking towards next year, even though it's one day after their season ended. The biggest problem that I think this team is going to have to figure out is what they want to do with some of the free agents that they have on their roster. And it's not really that big of a problem because I think they are going to be able to figure it out kind of quickly. One of the ones that is going to be tough for them to kind of figure out is what they should do with Goran Dragic, because I think both of them want to be. I think Goran Dragic wants to be in Miami. I think Miami wants Goran Dragic to be on the team next year. Even though he's a 36-year-old point guard, or he will be a 36-year-old point guard next season, he's still one of the better backup point guards and one of the better backup guards in general. And even if you put him in the starting lineup, he's still a really, really good player anytime he's on the court. With that being said, he does have an $18 million club option, which, comparing him to the rest of the team, I think would pay him more than Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Precious Achiuwa, and KZ Okpala combined. If they could somehow get Goran Dragic for anywhere between $10 to $15 million instead of that $18 million range, I understand that does not seem like it's that big of a difference, $3 million. But $3 million is $3 million that you could give to a different free agent, or give to a vet for a minimum contract, or give to somebody else to help them re-sign. So that $3 million, even though it does not seem like it's a big deal, it really is when you look at the grand scheme of everything. Now, in terms of the rest of the roster, they have guys like Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn, who I believe are restricted free agents for this year. If anything, one of them is unrestricted and the other is restricted. I think Duncan's restricted and Kendrick's unrestricted. Maybe they're both restricted, though. I'm not exactly sure, but I would say that both of those are really going to be tried to be brought back. The two guys that probably are not going to be brought back are 3 guys. You look at the rest of the free agents. It's Nemanja Bjelica, it's Trevor Ariza, and Andre Iguodala has a club option. which I'm sure Miami would love to bring Andre Iguodala back. He's a great veteran player. But for $15 million, that could be spent elsewhere. Now, in terms of who elsewhere that should be spent, it's kind of hard to really pinpoint that. I would love to see them go get one of the better guards, especially a defensive-minded guard that's out on the free agent market. Even though he's not necessarily defensive, but he would still really, really help this team, is Dennis Schroeder. I know that a lot of people are really saying that they would love for Kyle Lowry to come to the Miami Heat. I don't understand why you'd sign Kyle Lowry to score 15 points a game when you could sign Dennis Schroeder for possibly less money. He's 8 years younger than Kyle Lowry, and he's probably going to score more than Kyle Lowry. He's probably still more athletic than Kyle Lowry. He probably gives you more options than Kyle Lowry. So I would love for this Miami Heat team to go after Dennis Schroeder before Kyle Lowry. And another guy, if everything falls through, I would love for Miami to get somebody like TJ McConnell from the Indiana Pacers. I mean, TJ McConnell, I think, set the record for steals in a half this year. He has been an incredible player this year off the bench for that Indiana Pacers squad. He's been one of the more main reasons that they were actually in that play-in race. Now, I know the Miami Heat are also not going to make this move, which is try to get bigger players. They have Bam Adebayo now. They have Precious Achiuwa that's going to come off the bench. They seem like, even though it's probably the stupidest thing that they could do, they seem like they're content with just sticking with this small ball lineup. Like I said, if you look at the spotrack.com, which is it's going to be the website if you're trying to look for any player's contract. They classify Duncan Robinson as a power forward. I don't know what he looks like on Basketball Reference. I don't really even know what to call him on the court. I think he's just a shooter. I don't really think you put a position to him. But I mean, that just goes to show what this Miami Heat team does. If people are calling Duncan Robinson the 4, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. You cannot play a lineup like that, and it showed. They got swept. So I would love for this Miami Heat team to actually get bigger. Play Bam Adebayo at the 4. It's not like he's not athletic. It's not like he can't dribble the ball. It's not like, I mean, he can't really shoot. But in the regular season, he could probably try to iron that out, playing more minutes at the 4. Sign somebody like Nerlens Noel, who actually can rebound, who actually can protect the rim, who actually can catch lobs on a consistent basis, who actually will be able to run the rim a lot better than many of the other free agent centers that are on the market. Do the right thing. Don't do what everybody else is doing, Miami. Do the right thing, sign Nerlens Noel, and you won't get swept next year in the playoffs. Now, the name that I would love for this team to get, and I understand that there's probably not a lot of good blood between him and Jimmy Butler, but, you know, I think if Jimmy Butler is going to look at Pat Riley in the eyes and say that all that matters to me is winning a championship, he should say, go get Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He really should. He really, really should. Because who is really trading for Karl Anthony Towns next year? It's going to be a lot of championship contending teams. We've already heard teams like the Warriors. We've already heard of plenty of teams that are monitoring that situation with Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota. I understand what Jimmy Butler and him went through in Minnesota a few years ago. But guess what? Nobody's the same person from 3-4 years ago that they were in Minnesota. I think Karl Anthony Towns is ready to actually get rid of that mantra of not being a hard-working guy. And I don't even know if that's really the mantra about him around the entire league. But that's really just what Jimmy Butler said. I think when you look at any other player that Miami can get right now, the player that is the very best player, he could come to that Miami Heat team and be the #1 option. He could be a defensive-minded threat. He's going to be more athletic than any other center that they're going to play, minus maybe Anthony Davis or minus maybe, I don't even know. Karl Anthony Towns could make this team a championship contending team. I don't know how they would get him. I believe technically Victor Oladipo actually still is under contract for this year. It's really weird when you look at SpotRack because it says he expires in 2021, but when you look at the 2021 free agents, it doesn't show Victor Oladipo. So I don't necessarily understand what that's all about. But if they could get a sign and trade with Victor Oladipo, if his contract does indeed expire after this year, trade Victor, trade Tyler Hero, throw in Precious Achiuwa, throw in KZ Okpala, throw in Screw it, Max Strus. Because at the end of the day, Minnesota has a really bad depth problem. They have a really bad depth problem. Not only could Miami fix that for them, they could get out from under this Karl Anthony Towns cloud of them having one of the best players in the NBA, but they're one of the most incompetent franchises in the NBA, and they're going nowhere. They could fix that issue, and they could fix their depth issue. At the end of the day, I really think that this Miami Heat team just got tired of playing basketball, got tired of being around each other. If you look at every single game, if you look at, when there's close-ups of Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo or Duncan or Tyler or anyone that's on that team, it doesn't seem like anybody's having fun. It didn't seem like anybody was excited to be playing the game. It just looked like they were there. It looked like they were there for their paycheck, and I think that's what did them in the most. With all that being said, that's going to be the video for me. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you didn't, make sure you leave a dislike. If you're a Heat fan, NBA fan, baseball fan, football fan, hockey fan, rugby fan, whatever you are, subscribe to the channel. If you do, you're really cool. If you don't, it doesn't really make a difference in my life. So might as well just do the cool option. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.